Okay, so I'm starting into the second painting. I'm doing this landscape of um, southern Utah, and I'm not liking where this painting is going. And I took kind of a break for a couple of days to think about I'm having problems with it. It's just bleeding too much, I think, is what the problem I was having with my sharp edges were not as sharp as I wanted to get them. And so something I've changed a bit. I'm putting this board on a tilt right now. I took this tool and I just put it behind my board, or whatever you guys have, where you can just angle it sitting on a table. And and I also think I was adding a little bit too much water into my paint, making the edges a bit more softer and muddy than what I wanted them to be. And so the second time around, as I'm working on this painting, I'm just going to be a little bit less water working with this, and just trying to problem solve as I go along. And I'm putting the board at an angle so the water runs towards me, like when I'm making a wash, so I have a little bit more control of what's happening. The other painting I did over here, I was wanting it to bleed, a lot like this. And this one, I'm not liking it, not digging it. So, all right, I'm going back in here. I'm going to come back into my focal point area. Let's see. Oh, that really wiggles, doesn't it? I have everything propped in here with bowls and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of taking a dark brown. If you don't know how dark your paint is, a little trick you can do is just run your brush in there. Like, this is pretty light. You can see like how clear it comes on the white side of your palette. Let's see, and I'm thinking maybe I got this, but I do know I want this area to stay very sharp. And I want my highest contrast to be in this area where I have my focal point. And I'm trying not to be too over controlling. I kind of think watercolor has a mind of its own. And just, sometimes it's best to just go with the flow. And I'm trying to keep in mind keeping some white open spaces. Ooh, and I'm wondering if I'm getting this too dark now. I'm gonna soak up some of this paint here. There we go. Maybe add some orange in here. This is kind of a little too brown for me. So I'm looking at the patterns I'm seeing in the rock formations right over here. Remember, painting is about observation, what you're looking at, but again, you're kind of lying. You're stretching the truth of what's actually there. I'm going to push this area darker. There we go. That feels a lot better than what it did last time. Let's see, and this area is pretty dark. I'm going to push this just a hair darker. I'm just glazing, layering what I initially had right here. Trying not to destroy those white spaces. So I have those patterns of light and dark happening. And I still think I can go darker. Liking that color change right there. That's moving into these shadowed areas. Okay. And these areas, where it did bleed a little bit too much, I don't like, I'm not really fond of that. I can just leave it, or I can try working around it. I think I'll let this dry before I come back over to here. Okay, let's see. And it's okay to take breaks, you know, especially if you're struggling with the painting. Take a break. Let's see. So this area is still pretty wet. I'm gonna play around with some trees over here. I want to make this area a little bit soft. And there's some, you know, green trees off in the distance right in here. Okay. So I'm getting some Hooker's green, maybe some Viridian green. Let's see, maybe I'll put some ultramarine blue in there with that. Trying to pay attention this time how wet my brush is. Needs to go darker. Sometimes if I'm unsure how so dark something is, you know, I always have a piece of scrap watercolor paper or somewhere on the sides of the margins I do a little test. Let's see if we, that really darkened it. Maybe just add a little bit of, I'm adding a little bit of Van Dyke brown. Not much. Yeah, that's the color I'm looking for. Okay. Here we go, let it bleed up a little bit. Okay. Wow, I gotta wait for that to dry, and this area to dry, so might as well, I guess, start moving down into the water. I'm gonna leave, I have a dark space here with the light space just next to it. If you're trying to make water, my suggestion is think about horizontal movement, especially if this is fairly calm waters. Making these horizontal movements with my brush. Let's see. Getting this fill of the water. Okay. I'm trying to keep these videos 10 minutes apiece, or else they have a hard time loading onto Canvas. And so I'll probably make a stop right here.